Hello, and welcome to a new episode of What the F. It's certainly been a fucking ages since I've done one of these. I think the last one I did was sometime last year, was about the Israeli-Gaza conflict that was going on there. Since then, I've released one or two videos, but they were kind of tributes to Rick Mayo. But I haven't done one of these on-camera things in a while. A lot's happened since the last one that I could talk about, but a lot of it's patterns. I haven't really been able to think of anything. By the time I think of, I'll say, I'll make a video about that. It was already kind of past news and kind of funny. I try to be as current as possible with some of the with the videos that I do. I try to be up to date, but a lot of the stuff that I would have recorded about is way past. So hopefully there'll be some stuff in the future that'll catch my interest. So first of all, apologies to the few people who watch my videos. I'm just getting around to this now. The topic I'm going to talk about is I just felt I wanted to say something about it. And Happy New Year to all of you. Hope 2015 is good to you so far. So what am I here to talk about? Well, I mentioned, I think it was the very first video I did. I talked about the perception of women in the media. It was instigated at the time. My idea to do that video was there was a kind of a Kitty Pryce, aka Jordan, had referred to the model Kelly Brook as a heifer. So she's a bit too big. Again, Kelly Brook, if you've never seen, quite bigger of a woman. And I talked about in that video how about that most guys, if they're honest with themselves, would prefer a woman that isn't too skinny or isn't too big. They would probably balance somewhere in the middle, and that's what Kelly Brook is. It's the first video in the lot, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, just check the very first video I posted, and you'll know what I'm on about, right? But I kind of was thinking about it today because it recently, I think this was last week, and I might have mentioned it as well in another video at some stage, about page 3, and that's the topic of today. Now, in case you've been not watching the news of late, it's been reported that the Sun newspaper has decided to discontinue page 3. Now, most people know what page 3 is. Those who don't, page 3 is basically a topless model. It was a woman who would appear every week. Again, I was never really a buyer of the Sun, really. I wasn't. I've seen page 3 before. I'm aware some of the models have been in it, but it's basically as I said, a topless woman. She's in the very appropriate name. It's on fucking page 3, but it's she's topless. That's it. It's not full nudity. That certainly wouldn't be fucking allowed. But it was just a woman with no top on, showing her breasts. And, nice to look at. Again, never really bought the paper all that much. It was one of those things, I think it was probably the first exposure to kind of naked women that most young fellas ever see. When I was a young fella, back in the fucking 80s, it was one of those things that we saw where we saw, a naked girl. And she wasn't completely naked. It was mostly a bikini without the top. But the reason it's on my mind now is because the Sun has recently noticed that it's gone. Well, truth of the matter is they haven't even said that. It's because the past couple of issues of the Sun newspaper, on page 3 has been no topless woman. It's been either a woman in lingerie or a woman in a bikini. And there's been no official announcement from the Sun newspaper themselves that page 3 is no more. It's just, it just might be their sly way of phasing it out. They're not going to make a big hullabaloo about it, And, apparently for all intents and purposes it is gone. Because the last couple of issues of the Sun apparently have had no page 3 topless woman whatsoever. So I was just, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the history of the page 3. Where did it start? Where did it begin? Again, I'll look off to the side of the screen here because I have the notepad open with some little notes that I mostly do these videos on the, freestyle, if you will. But sometimes it helps to know what I'm talking about. I don't want to sound ignorant and I don't want to sound stupid. I always say to people who watch this video, if I'm wrong about something, please let me know. I don't want anyone thinking, no, I'm preaching fact, this is the gospel truth. But these are the facts that I've kind of dug about the Sun newspaper. Its first issue was in 1963, and it started off as a pretty basic newspaper. It has all the news, the events of the day, sports section, all that kind of thing. And it carried on like that for a long time until sales the newspaper started to decline in the years after it came out. And then in 1969, the media mogul that we all know as Rupert Murdoch bought it. Then he turned it into what is called a tabloid. Now, I've always been baffled by that word. You often hear about, the tabloid press, the tabloid newspapers, tabloid journalists. I always used to know, what does that word mean? Because to me, it started to mean the newspaper that just deals in smut. It did deal in the stupid, useless, ridiculous news. The pop stars are changing their hairstyle and fucking, so-and-so's up to shagging who. That's what I thought a tabloid paper was. And I suppose to a degree it is. But the literal meaning of the word tabloid, I had to look it up because I didn't fucking know. It's the meaning I took from Wikipedia is a newspaper having pages half the size of those of the average broadsheet, typically popular in style and dominated by sensational stories. So it has become the sensational newspaper where they talk about celebrity affairs and celebrity scandal. But the literal meaning of the term tabloid is it's basically a small newspaper. Because, I look at things like here in Ireland, the Irish Examiner. It's massive fucking newspaper. Huge fucking thing. But that's the literal meaning of the word tabloid. I just wanted to talk about it because I didn't really know what it was. But then, about a year after, according to this, a year after Rupert bought the paper is when Page 3 started in 1970. They're saying after 45 years. Basically, it's been going 45 years. Started in 1970, a year after Rupert Murdoch bought it. And sales figures went from in the hundreds of thousands to the millions not long after that. Because, frankly, a topless woman, is a nice thing to look at. I'm trying my fucking hardest not to be in any way sexist at all, because I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not the kind of guy that has the view of, women that are the inferior, women, kitchen and babies is all they're good for. That saying such things is the highest insult you can give to a woman. But it's a true fact. A naked, topless, let's just say topless, because Page 3 was never naked. A topless woman is a nice thing to see. And apparently it was because, as I said, the sales of the Sun newspaper, when they started Page 3, went through the fucking roof. And it became I don't know if I'd call it an institution. That's what I've heard some people refer to, it's an institution and it's gone now, Am I mourning the loss of Page 3? No. I'll get to what I really think of Page 3 in a minute. I just want to give the kind of background info. But as I said, the past couple of issues have not had a Page 3, and there was a campaign by a bunch of quote-unquote feminists, no more Page 3. And again, what it says on the tin, they wanted they wanted Page 3 gone. And since this alleged demise of Page 3, they've been saying it's a small but great victory in the fight against sexism. Because that's what they were basically saying. They were basically saying Page 3, it's all sexist, it objectifies women. Men see the topless woman and they don't think about, she might be a nice person. She might have something to say. They think, no, she's a lady with her breast out. And I suppose to a degree, that is what some guys would think of it. They were interviewing some men on the news when all this came to light. And there were some men who fucking stupidly were like, I'm not going to buy that paper anymore. That's, again, stupid. Again, it's a useless paper to begin with. Fuck Page 3. The Sun is a shitty paper. Because it talks about nothing important, really. It talks about, celebrity shit and fucking, all the scandal and that's just useless drivel for me. The tabloid paper has become a fucking newspaper of useless drivel. So Page 3 is very low. on the list when it comes to shit that would bother me about the Sun newspaper. But, as I said, the No More Page 3 campaign, great victory for this, and some have come out in support of it. Some politicians have said, it's fantastic that it's gone. Some female politicians were seen wearing the t-shirt "No More Page 3" on the t-shirt. And there was a lot of people who were in favour of the fact that it's gone. And there are some people who aren't. I mean, they interviewed some models. I mean, there were girls who were due to shoot for Page 3, but now they're saying probably won't be now. The glamour model and bodybuilder and now documentary maker Jodie Marsh, who had featured in it a couple of times, she's been very vocal on social media, Twitter mainly, about what she thinks of the fact that it might be gone. She's not happy about it. She's not happy about it. I mean, one of her tweets, I'm going off my memory here now, she talked about how she did it and it led to the great things that she's doing now, and that, feminists shouldn't be telling other women, oh, don't you ever do Page 3. Women should be permitted to do whatever the hell they want. Which is fair enough, that's great. Women want to pose for Page 3, let them. It's their prerogative, it's their choice. The whole point of equality is that women have the freedom of choice to do whatever it is that they want to do. If a woman wants to do Page 3, let her. Doesn't matter to me. But when Rupert Murdoch was asked about it himself, the man who fucking started it, essentially, he tweeted, Brit feminists who bang on about Page 3 never buy the paper. I think old-fashioned, but readers disagree. I mean, people are basically taking that to mean Rupert Murdoch thinks, look, it's an old-fashioned thing, but, who cares? And so we get to what I think. What I think is, does it bother me that Page 3 is gone? And the answer, frankly, is no. Do I support Page 3? Do I think it was a great idea? And I'm not trying to dodge. I wouldn't dodge that question. Not to go, I can't answer that. A typical political answer. You can go, I'm not going to talk about that. It's a difficult question for me to answer, and I know that in itself sounds fucking political. So apologies for the hypocrisy if it comes across that way. But I've always said about Page 3 that it's fairly tame. The reason that Page 3 was such a success is it started in 1970. Now, there was pornography in the 70s, but there was no internet. If you wanted pornography in the 70s, I mean, it was difficult to get hold of. There might have been shops. Some shops, they were very discreet down dark alleys, and some still are. But pornography back then wasn't very difficult. It wasn't very easy. Sorry, apologies, not difficult, easy. It wasn't very easy to get hold of. And so Page 3 was just a newspaper that was the Sun newspaper, and Page 3 was just something that was in the local shop that anyone could buy. And so that's why it was so popular, because a guy who might want to see some semi-naked women, naked from the waist up, could get it. They could see the paper. Oh, there's a nice, lovely looking woman with her breasts out, and that was their access to it. But times have changed since then. We've had the 80s, we've had the 90s, we've had the noughties. And since the 90s, mid-90s, I think, is when I really recall it starting to get big. As I already said, the aforementioned internet. Now, the internet is, again, it's called the World Wide Web. Again, another thing where it says what it says on the tip. It's worldwide. It extends to every corner of the globe, which is a stupid thing to say because there are no fucking corners of the globe. But it's a very far and widespread. It's the world over. You can't go to a country and not find the internet. And what's been one of the major things that people have been able to do on the internet is trade, files. They might trade pictures, they might trade images, and pornography. You go online and you type in the single word sex or porn or anything like that. You'll find a litany of sites showing pornography. One's off the top of my head. RedTube is one. Pornhub is another. Those are the only two I really know of. And there's probably more, but I can't say for certain what they all are because I don't really know all about them. Now, the pornography, there's some people believe now, right, that the pornography is the number one thing on the internet. It's everywhere. It's easy to find, as I already said. So when I heard first got wind of the page 3 campaign the campaign to get rid of it, I was surprised because would I be in am I in favor of the abolition of page 3? I'd have to be honest, no. And that's nothing to do with like, oh, I want to be able to buy the Sun newspaper and see some boobs. Again, I don't buy the newspaper. I don't buy any fucking tabloid paper. It's all dribbled nonsense to me. But I don't buy it. So the reason I say was I for the abolition of page 3? Again, as I said, no, I'm not, because frankly, there's worse out there to be worrying about. I mean, I understand that you have to do things in order to make progress in an issue, and in particularly with women's issues like sexism and discrimination. You do it in small steps. You take the tiny battles first, you build it up, and then you just go up and up and up and fight the bigger fights, inequality and against discrimination. And again, all the luck to him. If I can, Joss Whedon, great filmmaker, said, "A world without equality is a world out of balance." And again, that's a great quote. I love that, because again, there should be equality. The very notion that women are still seen by some as inferior to men it's a ridiculous notion. So I have no problem, and it's essential for the world to exist that there's equality, because they're 50% of the fucking population. They're half the population. There's men and there's women. One should not be superior to the other. There should be equality between both. But when you want to win victories in that fight against, like, the perception of women, and as I said, I've spoken about this before, and it's a bad thing that you have all these sexy models and all these things, and you have young, impressionable minds thinking, this is how women should be, I'm going to vomit and not eat, or do whatever to get that size 0 figure, which is fucking horrible. It's good to, like, for the fight against all that, because the perception of women should be better. There should be more fuller figured women. I'm not saying outright obese big women, because that's just not healthy. Some guys, bizarrely enough, find that attractive, but it's more healthy. I mean, you can have a large framed woman who looks healthy. She doesn't look unhealthy. It doesn't look like, you can tell the difference between a woman that's large through obesity and through stuff in her face, and a woman who's just a little bit large because that's just the way she is. That's genetics for you. You can tell the difference, right? There should be some balance, as I already said. Balance is better. But when you're trying to kind of win victories and battles in that fight against the perception of women and the stigmatization that women are just objects of pleasure and nothing more, you could have picked something better than page 3 to wail on. Now, I know I already said that you pick the little fights and then you work your way up to the big ones. But there's worse. I keep saying that. I'm sorry. There's worse out there than page 3. I wouldn't necessarily have left page 3 alone. But what these feminists don't seem to understand is that I could go on my computer right now. On this computer right now, I'm talking to you a lot, but I could go on the computer right now and find me some lovely free hardcore pornography. I could see women having sex with men, women having sex with women, and there's all sorts of weird, freaky fucking porn out there. I don't look at most of it because it's fucking horrible, but there's some of it that I have seen. The point is, it's easy in this digital age, in this internet world, to access that kind of material. The kind of material that's worse. I mean, if you took page 3 to a modern day 13-year-old or 14-year-old, a teenager, and you show them page 3 and go, yeah, what do you think of that? Well, they might look and think, she's nice. But then they just hop on in and go, but this is better. And again, as I said, it's easy to find porn on the internet. Some of it's free. A lot of it you may have to pay for. But most of these sites I've observed, and I will admit I've looked, a lot of these sites will give you a free sample before, and they say, well, if you want more, you got to pay. But for some of the free samples, enough. I've seen the free samples of porn sites, and again, it's pretty interesting material. But the point is, it's easy to access. There's not a problem. For some adolescent young people today, the free sample on a porn site would be enough. There'd be no problem with it, because again, it's free, and you're getting more than you'd ever see in fucking page 3. So, I mean, if I had been these feminists who'd come up with the notion of, let's take down page 3, I would have suggested something else. I would have said, well, listen, why don't we go after porn websites that offer the free samples? These free porn websites, that's the thing that should be gone after. Because as I said, there's two websites. There's RedTube and Pornhub. They're like YouTube for pornography. You just go onto the site. You know yourself. You can watch porn on what is it? You can watch videos on YouTube. No problem. You don't have to. You can log in and you can like have your favorite videos, but you can just go onto the YouTube website and just watch as many videos as you like. Same thing with RedTube and Pornhub. You can watch as much pornography as you like on those websites. No problem at all. But again, I'm not hearing the feminists bang on about that. They've been banging on about page 3. I've heard nothing about these hardcore sites that offer free samples. They're like fucking drug dealers. They give the junkie a taste and then you gotta pay for more. Which is essentially what these websites kind of are. Because the free sample is nice, but you might think, oh Jesus, more of this? But then you gotta pay. But as I said, for some the free sample is enough. And that's what I would have gone after. I would have gone after the porn websites that offer the free sample. I would have gone after the likes of RedTube or Pornhub or any of the. There's probably others I don't know about, but I would have gone after those that offer the free stuff, where you don't have to pay a damn thing. You can just log on and there it is. That's what I would have gone after. Because again, P3 is way down on the fucking totem pole. There's better things to be banging on about. There's worse things that portray women in a sexist manner than page 3. All page 3 is a fucking photograph. It's a photograph of a topless woman. And again, it's not worth the time. That's why I said, look, I'm neither for nor against page 3, but my opinion has been, as I said, they could have gone after something better than that. There's worse stuff, there's worse material, there's worse threats to women in terms of sexism and equality. That these feminists who went after the page 3, they could have done better. I mean, this is minor. And the worst thing about this, and I don't, apologies for not getting to this bit sooner, because this is the bit that baffles me about the entire matter. The Sun has never said page 3 is gone. They've printed a couple of issues with no page 3 at all, and yet there's never been a formal statement from Rupert Murdoch or his reps saying page 3 is no more. And yet the No More Page 3 campaign are already hailing victory. When there's been no official announcement at all that it's gone. It could be back. There's actual rumors that it might be that they were just testing the waters, and that in fact they will soon enough start it again. So it's a little premature to be saying mission accomplished and hey, victory, when it could come back. And even if it does come back, stop fucking banging on about it, because the young people of today don't give a shit about page 3. I've already said that a young fella in today's world would laugh at page 3 because there's easier access to harder material that portrays women in a worse way. I said already, all it is a photograph. And that's all it is. It's a picture of a topless woman, but there's footage on the internet, and there's other pictures on the internet of women in like compromising positions, You know yourself with porn, it's not realistic. No fucking sexy woman's going to deliver pizza and you got to have sex with her to pay for it. That's just illusion, fantasy. It ain't real. But the younger people of today will look at that shit and think that's the way to do it. That's the way to go. That's the way to be towards women. Now, right? That's not the way you treat a woman. But they're not really going after that. That's not exactly their high priority, and it should be. Something as minor as page 3 is a blip on the fucking radar. It may have meant something in the 70s and 80s, but since the advent of the internet and the digital age, it's meaningless. There's better targets to go after, bigger threats to go after than page 3. So I would advise the feminists, and I'm under no illusions they're not fucking watching this video. Probably not. It would be nice if they did, but leave page 3 alone. It's minor. Nobody cares. It's stupid. Go after the bigger ones. Again, as I said, go after the free sample websites. Go after the websites that offer free porn. They're bigger threats to women. They portray women in a worse light than page 3 ever did. So, just basically relax. Don't be so panicky about page 3. go after the stuff that does more damage than that. Okay? Right, well, the throat is starting to feel a little dry and a teensy bit sore, but so that's generally my indicator for I'm done. And as usual, I've banged on for long enough. My apologies if these videos are long. I try to keep them short as possible, but you know yourself, if you've seen these videos, you know I like to bang on once I get into a roll. I like to talk. So again, 1,000 apologies for the length of the video, but yeah, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Again, my apologies for my absence. You know, I'll be hopefully I'll be back again. I said in one of my last videos that I was going to try and keep it a monthly. Like in the beginning, I was doing things weekly, but that just got a bit too much. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about. No, I couldn't come up with topics. So I've decided I'm going to keep this as a once a month video. I'm depending on what grabs me in that intervening time, I may do little specials, but my basic video, my basic usual episode will be once a month, with maybe some little tidbits peppered in between. Okay, in fact, as a matter of fact, I've already got an idea for the next one, because it's a subject that I've talked about many times on the videos already, and there's a lot that's come out about this topic, so I'm kind of excited to talk about it. So that's about it. Thanks again for watching. Again, apologies for the delay. I was meant to do this at the start of January. But yeah, take care, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye-bye.